I started to notice that the more time I spent with him alone, I was growing very, very attracted to him. So one day I just went in for the kill. I decided that
Bro, but that's your sister's man, the husband, dude.
just my sister's husband, I started to rub on him and rub on his member downstairs or whatever, even through the ski mask, and I was wearing a ski mask at the time. He kind of looked at me like he knew who I was, but there were no words exchanged. He immediately grabbed my hand, led me to a nearby bush where could nobody see us. We do our thing.
So this dude said it's a good idea to do a story time how I got with my sister's man. So I saved it. Y'all know we get the craziest stories here, man. So if y'all like the stories, like the live, literally hit that like button, please.
I tell this story for empowerment, and I tell this story for educational purposes. I want to talk about the time that I started an affair with my sister's husband, and how this cost my sister her life.
All right. All right. It cost her life y todo, and he's still out here making videos. Okay, let's see. Maybe it wasn't that bad, chat. Maybe.
About 5 years ago, I ran into very hard times, and I ended up having to move with my sister and her then husband. Her husband had always been very chilly towards me, kind of standoffish, act like he didn't want to really hold a conversation or be seen standing talking with me or whatever. It seemed like the only time he would talk to me is when no one was looking. That was the first red flag. The second red flag was I noticed that although they both worked from home and they had all day to, do whatever it is that they wanted to do, I worked during the long days and I would come home late at night, roughly around 11 midnight. They would wait until I come home. He rather would wait until I came home, and once I got settled in bed, all of a sudden he would want to make love to my sister, and he would do it in this very loud way, like really be giving it to her where the headboard is bumping the wall and she's hooting and hollering up in delight. That was the second red flag. I decided one day to get some payback. One day my sister was out with her girls and it was just me and him in the house, so I invited one of my dates over, and me and
Wait, what was her husband trying to get you jealous? And the fact that you said, let me do some payback, bro.
my date, we go on edit, we kind of loud with it or whatever, and as I'm walking my date to the door after we were finished, I noticed that he's huffing, he's puffing, he's steaming, he looks really pissed off. And when I let my date out the door, he went to their bedroom and he slammed the door like he had an attitude. That should have been the third red flag, but I'm thinking that he's just on some homophobic shit. I'm not really thinking much of it. The more I started to live there, the conversations he would have with me in private when my sister wasn't around had started to become very risque. Like he had mentioned to me that he wanted to try backdoor intimacy with my sister, if you get my drift. He didn't want the front door intimacy no more. He wanted to try backdoor intimacy because he wanted to know what the hype was about, why men like to give it to other men in the back door. I thought that was kind of strange that he had that conversation with me. I would notice that, he would give me long, strange looks or whatever. So I started to notice that the more time I spent with him alone, I was growing very, very attracted to him. So one day I just went in for the kill. I decided that I was going to have
Bro, but that's your sister's man, the husband, dude. Oh, you're a fucking bitch for that, man.
a very risque conversation on my phone while he was listening. I knew he was in the living room playing his game or whatever, and so I was in the kitchen and I'm on my phone and I'm talking to a friend and I'm telling him about this park in a city where a lot of men go to at nighttime to hook up. A lot of men, they'll put on ski masks, and a lot of these men are DL men, but they put on these ski masks because they don't want to be identified. They'll go to this park and be all kind of flamboyant gay men in this park behind bushes or whatever, and they meet up and be intimate with these men in the dark behind these bushes or whatever. They go get back in their car, take their ski mask off, pull off, go home to their wives, baby mamas like nothing ever happened. So I was having a conversation with my friend about it out loud, and I could see that the more I talked about it, I noticed that the decibel volume on the TV was becoming very low. He was lowering the volume on the TV so he could really tune into my conversation, but he was kind of doing it very discreetly. So I told him, I was telling my friend where the location of the park is, and that sometimes I go to this park, just with the real little laugh.
You say you're a Christian,
and boom.
but you gay.
Wait till I tell y'all what happened next. I was not shocked when I actually pulled up to this park and I got out. Maybe a half an hour later, I noticed that a familiar SUV pulled up. It was his black SUV that pulled up at this park.
And you listen, I already know what he's gonna say. Then he came up and I acted like I didn't know who he was. But I really did know who he was. But I acted like I didn't know because I wanted the that's it.
where down low men are. And I noticed his stature. I know I can tell his stature from a mile away. I obviously live with him. So, but this person got on a ski mask or whatever. And so, when this person got out the car and they walked into this DL dark park where all these DL men are and they're hooking up with all the homosexuals, whatever. As soon as I saw this person get close to me, which is my sister's husband, I started to rub on him and rub on his member downstairs or whatever. And I could tell that he through the ski mask, and I was wearing a ski mask at the time, he kind of looked at me like he knew who I was, but there were no words exchanged. He immediately grabbed my hand, led me to a nearby bush where could nobody see us. We do our thing. That was the first time that I had slept with my sister. After the deed was over, he went and got in his car, went home. I went and got in my car, went home. We didn't talk about it. We acted as if the whole thing never happened, and that started to become our regular routine. Like when he would.
How damn that's fucking damn, y'all fucking shitty ass vatos, dude. This isn't a Reddit story. I don't know. I was gonna ask that myself. Like, what if he's just reading a Reddit story? But I honestly don't know. I would have to go to his page and see if he does those type of videos.
See me leave at night, get dressed, put on my, fitted jogging pants and with my behind showing with my sexy underwear. When he would see me get dressed, put my cologne on and leave, he already knew where I was headed. So next thing I know, as soon as I would get to the park, half an hour later, he would be pulling up. This was our routine. We did this affair carried on for months. I started to notice, though, after months of us having this affair, I would hear him and my sister having these very loud, drag down arguments and fights about they hadn't been intimate or whatever. Their relationship had been going downhill. Meanwhile, the intimacy between us, although we never exchanged words when we would be intimate in the park or whatever, it had grown a little closer, where he used to just do a quick pound town, thank you, ma'am, and get his, rocks off. It had started to become very lovemaking. He would start to really grind into me as we would get into it and, grab on me and hold my hand, while we were doing it or whatever. So I just kind of knew that, he was really starting to fall for it. Meanwhile, like I said, things were kind of feeling at home between them. They weren't being intimate or whatever. And I had this sad epiphany. He had the perfect life, or what he thought was the perfect life. He had did what he set out to do with my sister. He had made kids with her, and he used my sister as his beard. He was.
Did he say they had kids?
He had did what he set out to do with my sister. He had made kids with her, and he used my sister as his beard. She.
Oh my god.
She was his arm piece, he was showing the public that he had this white picket fence life, the wife, the kids, whatever. But when it came to intimacy and passion and lovemaking, that's where I came in, and that's what he needed. So, but I had to realize at what risk, I was sabotaging my sister's marriage, and I started to feel guilty about it. One day, I decide to go to the normal park or whatever, but I hid out in a spot that he wasn't familiar with. I knew this park like the back of my hand. I hid out in the spot, and I waited for him, and he get out the car, and I noticed that he's looking for me at our normal spot. He don't see me. Meanwhile, there are homosexuals that are walking up to him, trying to grab on his junk, feel all over him. He's showing them away. He don't want nothing to do with them. When he noticed that he didn't see me, he couldn't find me, he eventually got his car and left. So it was at that moment I knew that he was falling for me. I had made a horrible mistake. I had never meant for it to go that far. So I decided.
Bitch, shut the fuck up, dude. What did Shawty say that one day?
Shut the fuck up, bitch asshole motherfucker.
Thank you. Yeah, you're fucking lying, bro. You wanted him too, dog.
I had saved enough money without even warning him or my sister. I just packed my things. I left town. My entire world was turned upside down when 6 months later I had moved to a whole nother town, and I'm living my life, and I had found peace, I had found happiness. But I get a phone call from my mother stating that our sister had died of as a victim of domestic violence. Apparently, they had gotten to a very bad argument or whatever,
shit.
and he had just took all his anger and frustrations out on my sister, and unfortunately, it unalived her. I still live with the guilt of that. I still live with the pain and the guilt of that affair, because I do feel like starting that affair with my sister's husband caused the rift in their marriage, and it caused the downfall of what happened. What ended up ultimately happening to my sister. It ended up costing her life, and now her children, my nieces and nephews, are without a mom. So that is the story. I tell this story for educational purposes. This is not my story, though. One of my followers emailed me this story and asked me.
Oh, I was gonna get mad, bro. I was over here getting mad at you, dog. Oh my god.
To tell this story to, bring education and awareness to.
How the fuck education? How, bro? About the quan or what?
Black women to be careful and just be safe when you're dealing with DL men or whatever. And I actually started this series where I've encouraged people, to tell me their stories, and
Shut
I will.
up! I'm mad at you now. You lied. You lied to us. Te lo hocico.
Shut the fuck. Hey, te lo hocico, puñetas.
El pollo is loco.